Hello, and thank you for tuning into my vlog on mixed methods research. What is mixed methods research? Mixed methods research is an interdisciplinary approach to combine quantitative and qualitative data. It is an emerging approach that combines stories and statistics. Mixed methods research gives us a more complete understanding than either qualitative or quantitative research can achieve on their own. It is growing in popularity among researchers because of the complexity of today's problems and the need to address these problems in an inclusive approach that addresses their complexities. There are three types of strategies of the mixed methods approach: sequential, concurrent, and transformative. Sequential refers to the two-phase design process in which one type of data is collected first and then followed by a second, i.e., qualitative data is collected first and then qualitative data is collected after. The concurrent strategy involves gathering both qualitative and quantitative data simultaneously. The transformative strategy involves concurrent or simultaneous collection of data, but it is different in that a theoretical approach guides the research. There are several factors that influence the design choice by mixed method researchers. They are, as listed, timing, weighting, mixing, and theorizing. Timing refers to the choice of collecting data sequential or concurrently. Weighting refers to the emphasis of qualitative or quantitative data research in a study. Depending upon the audience you wish to reach and the message intended, researchers may decide upon which type of research they will weight more heavily upon. Mixing refers to the merging of quantitative and qualitative data. Researchers must decide if the data should merge initially, throughout the process, or at the end. Theorizing refers to determining whether or not a theoretical perspective will guide the research design. There are 6 major mixed methods models used by researchers. The first design I will speak of is sequential explanatory design. This type of research involves collecting and analyzing quantitative data in the first phase of research, with the second phase focusing on collecting and analyzing the qualitative data. The initial quantitative data provides the foundation upon which the qualitative data will be applied and made sense of. The mixing occurs when the qualitative data is informed by the initial quantitative data, with great weight being put on the quantitative during the interpretation phase. This design is used often to explain and interpret the quantitative results using subsequently collected qualitative data. The next design I will discuss is a sequential exploratory design. This design is similar to the explanatory design, but the phases of data collection are reversed. First collecting qualitative data, analyzing it, and then collecting quantitative data and analyzing that. Similar to the last design, the second phase of data builds upon the first. The first phase of data is usually weighted higher than the second. The qualitative analysis mixes with the quantitative collection during interpretation and brings the data to life. This model is most often used to describe the distribution of a phenomena within a chosen population. Next, I will discuss the sequential transformative design. Similar to the first two designs mentioned, the sequential transformative design has an initial phase, be it qualitative or quantitative, and a secondary phase that builds knowledge into the initial phase. The main thing that differentiates this design from the first two is that this design is taken on with a particular theoretical lens in mind. The lens, mentioned early in the research, shapes the research and guides it in a particular direction. The intent of this design is to address a social issue. The next design I will discuss is concurrent triangulation design. This is the most popular of the mixed method research designs due to its timeliness. In this research process, qualitative and quantitative data are collected concurrently or simultaneously, and the two different data sets are compared for convergence and/or differences. Because of its familiarity with researchers, there is much evidence to support this design and much support of its findings. Next will be concurrent embedded design. This type of research is beneficial in that it provides the researcher with qualitative and quantitative data simultaneously. The concurrent embedded method has a primary method that guides the research and a secondary method designed to support the first. Only one data collection phase is used, during which a predominant method embeds the other less priority method. During analysis, The data collected from the two methods is mixed. The final mixed method design approach I will discuss is concurrent transformative design. Concurrent transformative design collects both qualitative and quantitative data at the same time, guided by the use of the researcher's theoretical perspective. The information is integrated during analysis. Benefits of mixed method research design. By using the two types of research, qualitative and quantitative, researchers are hopeful that the weaknesses of one research design will offset the other. Mixed method research design gives us a more comprehensive understanding of the research problem. It will also provide a more comprehensive response from merging the qualitative and quantitative data. The mixed method approach also helps to explain findings that may not be clear if only viewed as qualitative or quantitative. There are some pitfalls of mixed method research. It often takes a lot of time and resources to complete the research, and the design has a very complex approach. Some ethical considerations of the mixed method research design involves informed consent, voluntary participation, and the possibility of highlighting or reinforcing stereotypes by grouping individuals together. The articles I had chosen to analyze that used mixed method research are listed below. Social Media for Learning by Jim Mao uses an explanatory sequential mixed methods design. The study dove into high school students' perceptions of social media, as well as their attitudes and beliefs about new technologies. Qualitative and quantitative methods were integrated during the interpretation phase. As cited in the article, Bryman, Becker, and Sempix stated that the qualitative data collected through open-ended questions and semi-structured interviews were used to shed some light on the quantitative findings. True to explanatory sequential mixed methods research design, the researcher begins with quantitative research and then proceeds with qualitative. The research served to highlight benefits, problems, and potential issues with regard to social media use in the classroom. Taking the time to understand how students view their role in today's culture is imperative to determine which online tools may be beneficial and effective for learning. I have chosen this study to be read by my peers as I believe that it had the most clear, concise approach to mixed methods research. The article is well written, linear, and clear in its representation of findings. The next article is Pink Ribbons and Red Dresses, a mixed method content analysis of media coverage of breast cancer and heart disease by Claudine Champion, Tanya R. Berry, Bethan Kingsley, and John C. Spence. This study examined 11 media sources available in one Canadian city to explore the coverage of breast cancer and heart disease and stroke. Findings provide insight on how these diseases are framed in the local Canadian media and the impact that this may have upon their perception of the disease. A useful theoretical framework is agenda setting theory, which holds that there's a relationship between the amount of media coverage of an issue and the importance of the public perception of the issue. A quantitative content analysis is beneficial for examining mass media print items. It provides researchers with a process to categorize and organize data to find trends by using counts. For the qualitative content analysis, a thematic analysis was used to identify repetitive and emphasized themes, to identify metaphors, and also to identify what stories or images may be absent. Quantitative analysis revealed that breast cancer representation through stories and through the pink ribbon is much more highly represented than the red dress and the Heart and Stroke Foundation. This is true even in February, which is recognized as a Heart Disease and Stroke Awareness Month. However, breast cancer was covered much more than heart disease during this time. Although the leading cause of death in women is heart disease, the vast overrepresentation of breast cancer in the media and agenda setting theory implies that it is of greater importance or pertinence than heart disease and stroke. There were some limitations identified in this article. Only English written stories were analyzed. Some stories are also only available on television, but there may not be a print related to it. The study found differences in representations of these diseases by the media. Social Representation of Cyberbullying and Adolescent Suicide, a Mixed Methods Analysis of News Stories by Rachel Young, Roma Subramanian, Stephanie Miles, Amanda Hinnant, and Julianne Ann Sager, explores the social representation of suicides associated with bullying, cyberbullying in news articles. It uses content analysis to investigate the representation of incidents on a grander scale. The author uses a sequential, transformative strategy of mixed methods research. The article is aimed at exploring a problem and ends with a call for action. In the first step of the study, weight is given to qualitative content analysis. Unlike the sequential exploratory and sequential explanatory approaches, this article, using sequential transformative model, begins with social representations framework as a lens to examine how media coverage of suicides related to cyberbullying reflects social conflict about how cyberbullying should be defined and addressed. Thematic and content analysis reveal clear consistencies in how these suicides were covered. Cyberbullying was used as a powerful call to action because of its ability to make events newsworthy. The content analysis determined that most stories describe specific platforms as enabling cyberbullying and that social media were mentioned most frequently. Future research, as identified in the article, may investigate the relationship between the covering of bullying and the criminalization of bullying. Some limitations are that not all suicides receive media attention. Demographics are also important to note when considering the size and the means of journalists and newspapers. Content analysis aligns with past research that newspaper articles do not always adhere to suicide coverage guidelines and that coverage is out of step with media guidelines related to bullying. Media attention could be paid to the dissemination of guidelines for suicide coverage. To conclude, mixed methods research attempts to approach current issues in an inclusive and educational manner and succeeds, in my opinion, in doing so. Thank you for listening.